Yo, yeah, you know what it is. Back at it again with another video. Right now, we will be reacting to most hated versus most loved Spider-Man villains. If you guys don't know, I am a Spider-Man fan. He is the best superhero of all time. Um, I've been rating that man since I was a kid. Spider-Boy for life. My favorite one, of course, is the original one, Toby. Personally, my favorite Superman, vi- Spider-Man villain is Venom. Venom is the best. I don't care what nobody tells me. I watched 1, 2, and 3, so we could get into that right now.
For every Spider-Man villain fans love, there's one they absolutely hate, starting with Topher Grace's version of Venom. When you hear the name Venom, you think of one of Spider-Man's most iconic
Super
villains.
iconic.
A terrifying, monstrous figure dripping in black symbiote goo, representing Peter Parker's darkest side. Venom in the comics is brutal, menacing, and larger than life. So when fans found out he'd finally hit the big screen in Spider-Man 3, expectations were sky high. Eddie is supposed to be this bulky, intimidating presence, a foil to Peter Parker in both personality and physique. Instead, what we got was, well, Eric Foreman in a leather jacket. From the start, audiences couldn't buy him as the terrifying Venom they've been waiting decades to see.
I like being bad. It makes me happy.
The problems didn't stop with the casting. Raimi himself has admitted he never wanted Venom in the movie. Sony forced the character in to appeal to fans.
That they did.
As a result, Venom's arc felt rushed and awkward.
It was good to me.
His transformation happens late in the film, his motivations are paper thin, and worst of all, he spends more time with his mask off than on.
But that's what makes him different, though.
Hey, Parker. Ooh, my spider sense is tingling. If you know what I'm talking about.
The backlash was so bad it scared studios off Venom for over a decade. It wasn't until Tom Hardy's Venom films that the character finally got a second chance. And that's the tragedy of Topher Grace's Venom. A villain who should have been terrifying but ended up as a punchline. But if Venom showed us how bad a Spider-Man villain can be when they're mishandled, then Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin showed us the exact opposite. How one performance can become so legendary, it defines the franchise for decades. Back in 2002, when Sam Raimi's Spider-Man first hit theaters, Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn set the standard for comic book villains. From the very first moment he appeared on screen, you could feel the intensity, the sly smile, the piercing eyes, the sense that he was always one step away from snapping. He wasn't just playing a character, he was becoming a good character, though. What made Dafoe's Goblin unforgettable was the split personality. One moment he was the ambitious scientist and proud father, the next he was cackling in the mirror, talking to himself, and unleashing chaos on New York City. The mirror scene alone cemented Dafoe as one of the greatest comic book actors of all time. He made you believe Norman was battling a demon inside his own head.
I didn't know where else to go. Someone's living in my house. Oscorp doesn't exist.
Nearly 20 years later, Dafoe returned in Spider-Man: No Way Home, and somehow he was even better. This time, without the restrictive mask, his facial expressions turned the Goblin into something far scarier. Every grin, every flicker of madness in his eyes made the audience lean forward in their seats. And his brutal fight with Tom Holland's Spider-Man reminded fans that Goblin isn't just a legacy villain, he's still the most dangerous one.
Too weak to send me home to die.
No. I just want to kill you myself.
Attaboy.
Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin proved that when a Spider-Man villain is done right, they can steal the entire movie. But unfortunately, not every villain gets that treatment. Because just a decade later, Sony gave us one of the most infamous missteps in Spider-Man history. Jamie Foxx's Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. On paper, Electro should have been a home run. Jamie Foxx is an Oscar-winning actor with insane talent, and Electro is a visually striking villain with massive potential. Fans expected a terrifying, complex powerhouse who could push Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man to his limits. Instead, what we got was a cartoonish, awkward character who felt ripped straight out of a bad parody. Before becoming Electro, Max Dillon is portrayed as a socially awkward, obsessive Spider-Man fanboy who gets bullied at work and ignored by everyone around him.
You know, Spider-Man saved my life one time. Out of all the people in the whole city, he saved me. He said he needed me.
That must be a good feeling.
When Max finally becomes Electro after a freak accident with electric eels, the film could have shifted him into something menacing. Instead, he looked like a glowing blue Smurf. The CGI was off, his design was mocked endlessly online, and his motivation, essentially being mad that Spider-Man forgot his name, felt shallow and ridiculous. He never felt like a real threat, just an overstuffed subplot in a movie already.
Well, you can't get mad at him for that.
The biggest problem with Electro in TESM 2 is that he represented everything wrong with the film. Style over substance,
and like he loved him, so it's like
villains,
if he forgets his name, then it's like damn.
Jamie Foxx had the talent to make him unforgettable, but the writing, the design, and the cringeworthy dialogue made him one of the most hated Spider-Man villains to ever hit the big screen.
Yeah, he wasn't
to be fair,
that good.
No Way Home did a lot to redeem Electro. The redesign gave him a much sleeker, comic-accurate look, and Fox was finally able to play him with confidence and edge. But no matter how much No Way Home improved him, fans will never forget how badly he was mishandled in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. If Jamie Foxx's Electro showed us how even the best actors can get lost in a bad script, then Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus proved the exact opposite. That with the right story, a villain can not only elevate a movie, but become one of the most beloved in superhero history. When Spider-Man 2 hit theaters in 2004, nobody was prepared for just how good Alfred Molina would be as Otto Octavius. He wasn't just a one-note villain, he was layered, sympathetic, and utterly terrifying when he needed to be. Molina brought gravitas, charisma, and humanity to a character that could have easily been just a guy with robot arms. Instead, he became a tragic figure, a mentor-turned-monster that audiences couldn't look away from. What made Doc Ock work was the fact that he wasn't evil for the sake of it. He was a brilliant scientist who lost everything: his wife, his sanity, his dream, when his experiment went wrong. The mechanical arms fused to his spine didn't just give him power, they corrupted his mind. At his core, Otto was still human, still chasing a dream, which made him relatable even in his darkest moments.
Dr. Octopus. I don't know, but I feel like my favorite thing, as I said, is
thing should be at the bottom of
Venom, man.
But make no mistake,
Venom's like Spider-Man, but he's not like Spider-Man.
From the hospital scene where his arms brutally massacre a team of surgeons, to the iconic train fight that remains one of the greatest superhero action sequences of all time, he brought raw power and intensity to the screen. Spider-Man wasn't just fighting a villain, he was fighting a man who could go toe-to-toe with him in every way. What sets Ock apart from almost every other comic book villain is his redemption arc. By the end of Spider-Man 2, he realizes the monster he's become and chooses to sacrifice himself to save the city. That moment cemented him not just as a great villain, but as a tragic hero. A man consumed by ambition who still found redemption.
That scene was crazy.
And then,
still, I can't
almost
lie.
20 years later, Molina stepped back into the role in No Way Home. Instantly, fans lit up. It felt like no time had passed. Seeing him interact with Tom Holland's Peter, with his menace intact but his humanity even stronger, was pure nostalgia and storytelling at its best.
Facts.
The fact that he got closure, this time being cured and given a second chance, only solidified why fans love him so much.
Hey! Until you stop trying to kill me, I'm in control, buddy, of this whole tentacle situation you got going on here, okay?
Dr. Octopus showed us what happens when a villain is given depth, humanity, and respect. But just a decade later, Sony reminded us what happens when you go in the complete opposite direction by turning one of Spider-Man's classic rogues into a walking punchline. Yep, I'm talking about Paul Giamatti's Rhino in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. In the comics, Rhino is one of Spider-Man's most iconic muscle villains.
Rhino is
a
annoying.
hulking brute with incredible strength, nearly unstoppable once he charges into battle.
The Spider-Man
He may not be the smartest, but his sheer presence has always made him a serious threat to Spidey. Naturally, fans were excited when they heard Rhino was finally coming to live action, but excitement quickly turned into disappointment. Instead of a terrifying powerhouse, Paul Giamatti's Rhino came off like a cartoon character come to life. His over-the-top Russian accent was exaggerated to the point of parody, his mannerisms were laughable, and his character design felt more like a Transformers reject than a Spider-Man villain.
Damn.
Any chance of menace was gone the second he opened his mouth.
Hey, boy, huh? Is Alexa scared of you, little boy?
To make matters worse, Rhino barely appears in the movie. He shows up in the opening, disappears, then comes back at the very end in a giant robotic suit that looks more ridiculous than intimidating. Fans were left scratching their heads. Why hype up Rhino in the marketing if you're not actually going to use him? He was supposed to set up the Sinister Six, but instead, he ended up as one of the biggest letdowns in Spider-Man movie history.
So I kill you, I destroy you.
I totally forgot about him. I'm not even gonna lie.
I'll be right there. There's no place like home.
After the embarrassment of Rhino, fans were nervous about what the MCU would do with Spider-Man's rogues. Would they mess it up again? Would another iconic villain be wasted? Then came Michael Keaton's Vulture in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Vulture was
and
sick.
Suddenly everyone remembered just how great a Spider-Man villain could be when handled with care. In the comics, Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, has always been a memorable villain, but let's be honest, he was never considered top tier. A bald old man in a green feather suit didn't exactly scream terrifying.
Michael Jordan.
But in Homecoming,
Michael
Marvel completely reinvented him into a blue-collar, working-class villain with a high-tech winged suit made from alien scrap. The update didn't just make sense, it made him feel real. Casting Michael Keaton was a master stroke. With his sharp delivery and intense stare, Keaton brought gravitas and menace to every scene. He wasn't playing a cartoonish villain or a CGI monster, he was a man pushed into crime because he felt cheated by the system. And audiences bought every second of it.
Pete, those people up there, the rich and the powerful, they do whatever they want. Guys like us, like you and me, they don't care about us.
Of course, the moment that made Vulture unforgettable was the car scene.
Yes,
Peter nervously picks up Liz
yeah.
for Homecoming, only to find out her dad is Adrian Toomes. That silence, that slow
That's
realization, and Keaton's chilling monologue while driving Peter to the dance. That's one of the best villain moments in the MCU, period. Suddenly, the fight between Spider-Man and Vulture wasn't just superhero versus criminal, it was personal.
And don't you ever interfere with my business again. Because if you do, I'll kill you.
Damn.
And everybody you love.
Damn.
What made Vulture stand out is that you could actually understand his motives. He wasn't trying to take over the world or summon a multiverse army. He was just a man trying to provide for his family after being screwed over by Tony Stark's cleanup crew. That relatability gave him depth, making him not just a villain, but a mirror of Peter's own struggle with responsibility.
Mr. Toomes, but all salvage operations are now under our jurisdiction. Please turn over any and all exotic materials that you've collected, or you will be prosecuted.
Michael Keaton's Vulture proved you could take a B-list villain and make him unforgettable. But then Sony reminded us that you could also take one of Spider-Man's most legendary villains and completely butcher him. That's exactly what happened with Dane DeHaan's Green Goblin in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Nah,
when Dane
I'm not even
DeHaan
gonna lie, I
was
do
cast as
not
Harry
remember
Osborn,
that guy.
fans were
He looks
curious
like a
but cautiously optimistic. He'd already proven himself in Chronicle, where he played a troubled, power-hungry teen with frightening intensity. It seemed like a perfect setup for a modern Harry Osborn.
Oh my god, look at his face.
Contrast to Andrew Garfield's
Looks
Peter
like
Parker,
the Grinch
but the
and
reality, a
Oscar
rushed,
the Grouch
awkward
put
mess.
together.
I cannot believe my eyes. Spider-Man.
Instead of developing Harry and Peter's friendship naturally, the movie rushes through it. We barely get any sense of their bond before Harry is suddenly dying from a hereditary disease that forces him into desperation. Then, within what feels like minutes, he's injected with Oscorp's spider venom, mutates into a goblin-like creature, and is flying around on a glider. No buildup, no emotional weight, just chaos. And then there's the look. Gone was the sleek, iconic Green Goblin armor from Willem
no
Dafoe's
wonder I
version.
don't remember
In its place,
this
we got a
man. He
weird,
was
sickly
weak.
mutation
Look at him.
with spiky hair, pale skin, and a goblin grin that looked more like a Halloween mask than a legitimate supervillain.
That's what I'm saying.
Fans roasted the design online, calling it cheap, rushed, and flat-out embarrassing.
Very
what
embarrassing.
You made me do. You were my friend, and you betrayed me!
The biggest sin of all? Dane DeHaan's Goblin is the one who kills Gwen Stacy. The emotional climax of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, one of the most tragic Spider-Man moments ever, should have been unforgettable. Instead, it felt unearned. Because Harry's transformation happened so quickly and so sloppily, his role in Gwen's death didn't hit the way it should have. What should have been a heartbreaking masterpiece ended up feeling like wasted potential. Dane DeHaan's Green Goblin showed us how badly things can go when a legendary villain is rushed and wasted. But then Marvel reminded us that even a second-tier villain, one most casual fans barely remembered, could become an all-time favorite with the right actor and story. That's exactly what happened with Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio in Spider-Man Far From Home. When Marvel announced Jake Gyllenhaal as Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio, fans were intrigued. Mysterio had always been a cult favorite in the comics, a special effects master who used illusions to fight Spider-Man, but he'd never been seen as a top-tier villain. Casting Gyllenhaal, an A-list actor with both charm and intensity, instantly raised expectations.
It's a hard path. You see things, you do things, you make choices.
He was annoying.
People look up to you.
Like, really annoying.
At first, Beck doesn't even seem like a villain. He arrives as a supposed hero from another universe, a soldier fighting elemental monsters across dimensions. He bonds with Peter, fills the father figure void left after Tony Stark's death, and earns Peter's trust. For the first half of the movie, he's not just likable, he's almost too good to be true. And that's what made the twist so perfect.
Look, you're a soldier, a leader. You stopped the elementals, you saved my life, you saved the world. Okay? He'd want you to have him.
Halfway through the film,
Damn.
the illusion shatters. Literally. Beck isn't a hero. He's a disgruntled ex-Stark employee using advanced
He's a
drone
rude
technology
boy,
to
or
fake everything.
as Michael would
Suddenly,
say,
the
he's a
man who seemed
meanie.
like Peter's ally is revealed to be manipulating him all along. And the reveal isn't just shocking, it redefines the entire story. What made Mysterio unforgettable was the way Marvel embraced his comic book roots. The illusion sequences, especially the one where Peter gets trapped in a nightmare of mirrors, false realities, and horrifying imagery, are some of the most creative visuals in any Spider-Man movie.
Mad.
For the first time, Mysterio felt like a true psychological threat, not just a gimmick.
Well, thank you for watching. You guys know what to do. Like, share, sub. So, catch you next time.